Hello my friends, Justin here. This is the start of my new series of lessons on how to play blues lead guitar. Now before we start getting into learning licks and scales and stuff, I want to talk a little bit about the process of learning blues guitar. So of course there's one element of playing blues guitar is learning scales and licks, that kind of thing. So the way I want you to think about it is that the scale is the alphabet, particularly like the minor pentatonic scale is kind of your blues alphabet. And using that one alphabet you can speak lots of languages like country, blues, jazz or whatever. All of those different styles all use the minor pentatonic scale. But what makes blues blues is the licks. And a lick you can think of as being a word. So after you've learned your alphabet, which would be your minor pentatonic scale, just playing up and down the scale doesn't really sound bluesy. What you need to make it sound bluesy is a word, a combination or a way of putting those letters, the notes, together to make it sound like a word, like straight away it sounds like blues, or any of those things are. They're all just little ways of using that scale to enable you to play blues. So it's not just about learning the scale, and it's not just about learning licks. So what's the other element? The other element is listening to blues and actually being able to kind of absorb the character of the blues. Now if you look at any of the great blues guitar players, whether they be the whiteys like your Eric Clapton or Stevie Ray Vaughan, or B.B. King, Albert King, Freddie King, these three kings, all of that sort of stuff, if you listen to their music you'll hear their words. Now they didn't learn by some guy on the internet like me teaching you licks, right? They learned by listening to other blues artists, and by so if you look at someone like Clapton, he definitely didn't use MX tabs or anything like that. He used old blues records that he listened to and tried to figure out how to play the licks. So I'm going to show you the scale to start off with, not in this lesson but in a future one in a sec. We're going to have a look at the scale so you understand what it is, what the alphabet is. And I'm going to show you some licks. But really what you want to do is be finding the licks yourselves off records, which involves transcribing. Now, not being one to try and flog my own products too much, however, I have this little pack for sale on my website called Really Useful Blues Solos. And what it contains is 5 tracks of guitar solo where I emulate and you kind of use their licks, if you like, of like Albert King, Eric Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix and Chuck Berry. Now those things are kind of condensed versions of those artists. So if you wanted to learn, say, Albert King, the best way would be to go and get an Albert King album and learn all of his licks. Yeah, like try and transcribe them and work them out yourself. If you want to use my pack, it's kind of a slightly easier version. You can get just as much, if not more, benefit from doing it off Albert King, because of course me emulating Albert King isn't as good as Albert King. If you wanted to use my version, you'd get the track, you try and work it out, and then I've also supply you with a transcription of the way I played it, so if you get stuck in your working out you can refer to my paperwork to try and do it. A lot of people I don't think have kind of sussed that out, but there's so many people that I've had emails from, and a lot of my private students that have used that Really Useful Blues Solo package to get their blues vocabulary together. I'm not flogging it to you just because it's my product, it's because it really works. It is a good method for teaching you licks, right? So you've got your licks, so they're your words, but really what you want to do is you want to speak sentences. You want to make up something, you want to express something to someone else. So therefore then you have to learn how to use your licks, how to combine one lick with another lick, and also how to use one lick in as many different ways as you can, which is something else that we're going to get on to doing after we've talked about the scale and the blues licks and stuff like that. There's quite a lot of, I've given you already quite a lot of info on that. So let's start to talk a little bit more about the word thing. So different words would be akin to different artists. So there are certain words like which is a kind of an Albert King lick that Clapton uses a lot of the time as well. So it doesn't end up being a it might be originally come from Albert King, or maybe he got it from someone else. Maybe he got it from Hubert Sumlin or Robert Johnson or whatever. I don't know where they came from initially. I'm not exactly sure, to tell the truth. I'm guessing that somebody made some stuff up somewhere. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, actually there must have been some thing coming from somewhere. I should know the answer to that, and I don't actually, but anyway. So we're talking about words, different people. So you can kind of, different styles of blues have different words. So like a Texas blues might use a different word to a traditional kind of Albert Kingy or B.B. King style thing. Different people have different accents on the way they use the words. B.B. King's got his very sharp vibrato. That kind of like really vibrato, and that would be kind of his style. So if you start to use his words, you'll have a kind of a B.B. King accent. Jimi Hendrix has little specialist things. He like, was one of his classic little licks. If you start using that word a lot, it'll start to sound like Hendrix. But you could start to mix them all up again and go like Hendrix, Stevie Ray, and suddenly then you've got like a blues solo, and it's your blues solo. It's you. If you mix up the words, it's the same as saying that a lot of people say, oh, I can't learn licks because then I'm going to sound like other people. Well, yeah, that's kind of the point. Let's put it back into the word analogy. So if you wanted to be a poet, if you just picked random letters from the English language and stick them together, and you end up with these words that no one knows what they mean or what they are, and then you try and speak your poetry, it might be really original and no one's done it before, but no one's going to understand what the hell you're talking about, so there's no point. Whereas if you, a poet would learn normal English words and look for cool ways of using words probably from other poets or other authors, and then they would stick them together in their own unique way. That's what you're trying to do when you're doing a blues solo, especially if you're playing blues. Blues is quite, using the right blues words is quite an important bit, because that's what somebody listening hears and goes, oh yeah, he's playing blues, I recognise blues, and then they can dig on what the rest of the things that you're saying, even if you chucked in like a jazz lick or your own weird variation of a lick. Once you've kind of settled into the style that you're playing blues and people are understanding it, makes a lot more sense to the listener. So hopefully I've given you enough of a burl on using the thinking of licks as words and the scales as the alphabet. So we're going to learn scales first, then we're going to learn some licks, then I'm going to show you how to use the licks and explain to you a little bit more about where to find your own licks. So remember, the best way to get your own licks is definitely, no question, original blues records and trying to work them out yourself. If you really struggle with that and you need a hand, then it would be a good idea probably for you to check out my really useful blues solos pack, which is available on the website if you go to the product section of JustinGuitar.com, and that way you get the solo to work out and you get a transcription of me playing that solo in whatever style. So if you get stuck when you're trying to work it out yourself, you can refer to my notes and it'll kind of pull you through. So without further ado, I think it's time for the next lesson. I've done enough gassing and not enough talking, because I know there's some of you going to go, you talk too much in the comments and stuff. Well, I kind of feel like I had to start this series off. So the next thing we're going to check out is the main scales that get used in blues, and hopefully that'll get your alphabet well sorted out. Hope all that makes sense, and there'll be support notes of course on the website. Go and check it out, and I will see you all for lesson 2 very soon. Later dudes, bye bye.